Hello, I'm Calvin Dial. This is the Studio Great podcast. I'm here with Anne Sheehy, the owner of Bastion Kitchen. Anne, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
all good. How are you, Calvin?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Good.
And look, everything's opening back up again, kind of.
Kind of,
So,
yes.
so
Yeah.
Bastion, for people that don't know, Bastion Kitchen is a restaurant in Athlone, restaurant cafe in Athlone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we worked with you in Studio Great, at the start of the pandemic, but throughout the pandemic, actually, when we've been working with a lot of people in the same industry as you, we've always used you as a case study of how to pivot very, very quickly with the business.
Oh God, geez, when I think back on it, oh my God, it was crazy. Like it was like, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to keep business going? Looking at a full cafe, loads of health food products, loads of food. It was like, how can we become creative and do something different and safely throughout, the pandemic? And that's, so the cafe is health food and like cafe and restaurant. And so it's like looking at all this stuff going, right, what way can we do it? And you have your staff team, what way they can come in, what way they can do it safely, as well as me. And, we just had to become creative. And at that time, working with Yi and getting online, like you'd never hear of a cafe and, being having an online presence or an online shop, really, like as in kind of before the pandemic. Now everybody has little bits of online. So that was like that support that Yi worked with me during that time was brilliant to get out there to people safely. They could kind of have a browse. They could see what was in there. They could see how they could order. They could, come in then safely without, there's nobody else there type of thing. So it was a real change of a business model, like from the beginning. So we just kind of got creative and started doing it. That's kind of what we did.
Yeah, and you did it like straight away. It was like quicker than anyone ever. It was at the point when everyone was still worried that the world was ending.
Yeah,
you were doing it like it was, you were like one of the first to do it, and it was at the time. It's like a mad thing. Now it's so normal. Everyone's doing click and collect, but this was before even anyone was saying click and collect.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose like my sister worked with me as well and all the girls, but I really felt a responsibility to them, and I was trying to kind of manage them from being so sad. And like we were all so sad, we were like, we don't know what's happening, and we were all anxious. And I was like, it's okay, girls, we're going to do stuff, we're going to keep going, we're going to be okay. And I was thinking of my sister, she's like getting married, and I was like, oh my God, this is awful, it's terrible. And I think I just went into this like absolute drive mode to say, how can I do this? How can I do this safe? And I remember bringing in my laptop and starting the idea and thinking about, okay, I'm going to go online, I'm going to do all this stuff or whatever. And coming home at, I think it was 12 o'clock with the laptop sitting beside me in the car, afraid to close it. And I got inside and I worked on it for another 4 hours. And at 4 o'clock, I was like, I clicked whatever, like, okay, basically on the website. And then I closed and I was like, please God, that worked, because I just put in so much work into it. I was like, please that I got it right. And I did, and I done that side of it. And then you guys came in then and helped me and made sure it was all lovely and professional and fabulous. So it was mad actually. It was just a drive that just, I don't know where it came out at, but it's just, I really wanted my business. I love it. Like I'm going to be 8 years this summer in business, and I absolutely love it. Like, and I love our team, and I love the girls, and I love our customers, and I just didn't want that just to all end. So I wasn't ready for this giving up and closing down and all that stuff. So that's where I was at anyways.
Yeah, because like a lot of people, a lot of businesses in the same industry kind of just shut down for a while, and then they open back up. But like whenever I'm talking to someone, people always talk about being creative, but that what you did was like the true form of creativity. It was like you had a huge problem, and then you're like, okay, well, what'll I do? And then you really went outside the box, thinking at the time of how I'll do it online. And even at the time, like it was kind of like, will this work? Will it not work?
Yeah.
Well, you just drove ahead with it.
Yeah. And it really did work. Like people didn't come in the door without an order. You know, it was amazing. Like, I suppose our customers are very loyal and they're very trusting in what we do. So anything that we do, they're kind of behind us, you know, so which is a lovely thing. So as soon as I said, right, guys, you can order online, you get your order number, you've already prepaid, so there's no handling of cash, none of that stuff. It's just already done, and you still can get your food and your health food and your items. And like, it worked, like it really did. So there was that trust there as well, that, you know, that they were able to say, all right, okay, she kind of knows what she's doing. Let's support her, you know, and they did, so it was fab.
Yeah, because there was a lot of help at the start with people too, because like they wanted to help businesses because it looked like the world was closed down. But you have like a really loyal customer base, because, well, like if you think about cafe and a coffee shop and a health food store, it's like it's part of people's routine in life.
Yeah, it's part of their life. And yeah, it's like, you know, coming in for a coffee or coming in for a certain bread or coming in for certain foods, like it's part of people's lifestyle and their routine and their habit. And we're just, you know, we're part of all of that. And like we had so much support and people, you know, telling each other, so that you can do this, you can pop online, you can order your bits from the Bastion. But like, also then we had, you know, people really, you know, driving that on other things, on other social media, and letting other people know on another level too, which was just like, we didn't even have to ask, you know, it just happened so naturally, you know. And it's like reposting and taking pictures, and I got this, and I never really knew any of how to do all of that stuff before, and reposting people's pictures and stuff. And there was this great little banter kind of going on, and I know it was on a different level, not on a like face-to-face level, on a, you know, through whatever social media, but at least it was contact for people, because people said, Anne, I saw more of you during lockdown than I did of my family, or I haven't seen my granny in 8 months, and I see you every week, and I pop in and I get my bread and my coffee and my salad. So it was lovely to have that relationship with people that couldn't have their, you know, that couldn't physically see other people as well.
Yeah, and like in a really weird way, it's probably made your brand or your customer base stronger, because like as we're kind of coming out of it now, well, hopefully, you forget like what it was like at the very start, and something like what you were doing was a real comfort to people as well. You know, even if I was driving by and I saw people out queuing, I was like, oh, at least like there's something nice about it, or I don't know, there was this nice feeling about that something was still going on. You could still go over there. It was like even people felt like it was like a holiday going to the shopping, going to the grocery store for the evening.
The amount of people that came in and were like, with themselves and their, you know, whatever, their partner, their husband, wife, whatever, they would never have ever had a fight over who goes to do the shopping. And it's like, no, I want to do it. No, I want to do the shopping this week to get out of the house, you know. And then they come home with the coffee and it's like, oh, this is amazing, you know. I always remember, because when we set up the online, I didn't add coffee, like a whatever, takeaway Americano or latte cappuccino to it. So people would come in and they'd get their order, they'd get the bag, and we'd have all the bits in it. And then they'd say, you know, can we get a coffee? It was like in case, you know, somebody was going to arrest them behind, you know. So it was such a treat. As soon as that coffee, like, you know, it's that comfort or that kind of familiar, like as what you would have normally done, you know, before the lockdowns, that it was like, oh, the world's not so bad, you know. It was like, I can have a coffee and head home, and I'm healthy and I'm happy, and that's, you know, so there was lots of positives that way, which was lovely to be part of with people, you know.
Yeah, it's nuts. It was nuts.
Yeah. You would have just, who would have guessed it, you know?
One of the things then as well that I was thinking about this is that we work with like a lot of like entrepreneurs, say, and you fall into this category. There's two types, right? I always find, right, there's a really careful, think a lot, very calculated before they do something, and then there's the other type who have already done it before you've even realized they've done it. So you would fall into the one where you've already done the thing and you're like, oh, it's done. And you're like, yeah, it's done. And you're like, all right, Okay, cool, good.
Yeah.
And I actually do find that if anyone is very, very careful to start pushing themselves, if you want to run a successful business, more so to the side of go get done instead of thinking too much about it, because like, I don't know what it is, maybe it's fear of failure, fear of it not working out or that. But even what you did with, even the manner in which you did the whole, because I know you were saying we helped you with the thing, but we did, like, we just came in at the end. You had already done the idea of doing the thing. We just kind of technically helped you. So you would come up with the thing. And like, I feel like a lot of people that struggle in business or are starting out in business don't have that mindset. We're just like, let's just do it anyway. If it doesn't work.
No, I know what you mean. It's the kind of, if you overthink it or think too much about it, it kind of doesn't happen. No. You know, because it's like, oh, what if, and what if, and what if, and that could be based on a load of different things, as you were saying, you know, risks or failures, or just, you know, maybe the knowledge to know how to do it. And I know for myself, I've been pretty much like, okay, I have an idea, let's just run with it. And I don't mind if it doesn't work. And I always say that to people, if it doesn't work, that's okay. Like, you've tried, or if you started and it changes into something else, that's okay as well. Like, don't be putting yourself into a certain box that it's like, well, if this didn't work, well, now that's ticked as failure, and you know, you're never going to try anything new again. Like, just play around with stuff, and like, a lot of people have the confidence to do it and then just get caught up in the like what ifs, you know. So it's just, yeah, I've just been, okay, let's try this out. Okay, if it doesn't work, okay, whatever, you know, we just play around with that, and it has worked so far, you know. And stuff does naturally tweak and change as it goes along, and you kind of have to allow it to do that as well, you know, without it going too crazy or too far away from what you want it to do. But yeah, no, it's yeah,
because it grows.
Sometimes you just have to gung ho and just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, I don't know about you, but would you ever think of failure? I never really think of the word failure. You know, you hear this a lot, and like people discuss it in business, like embracing failure, but I never even really think about it. Like, I wouldn't really.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Like, I know when I opened first, and like a lot of people were like, oh, you're mad, don't do that, and oh, that's crazy, and like, you know, yeah, like just don't do it. It was 2013, it was the whatever, you know, it wasn't great times or whatever. So, but I was just like, but if I don't do it, I won't ever know. So failure never came into it. It was never like, if I do this and I fail. It was more like I want to experience it. I want to do this. If it's a change in my life and my career, like, you know, I think people should do more of that stuff that they want, and not stay maybe in jobs that they're unhappy with, or they should experience stuff. So yeah, failure, I just was like, well, if it doesn't, as I used to say, if it doesn't work, she'll just go back doing what I did before. There you go. So then it kind of took out that whole failure thing. So that whole element of that risk, or that stuff that you'd feel inside, that it'd be like, oh God, you know, I don't want to do that. It just eliminated all that and just allowed a path straight to being creative, doing what I want to do, setting this up the way I wanted to set it up. It just allowed all of that to flow. Whereas that, having that removed was great. And it's just that mindset of thinking, okay, if it doesn't work, so be it, you know, let's go on to something else.
Yeah, because
or go back to doing what I was doing.
Yeah, but it's very good to think like that, because if you think about, like, okay, if I start this, let's say the cafe and a restaurant, and then if it doesn't work out, how does that make me a failure? I just had a cafe restaurant that didn't work out. It's like, what's so bad about that? It's like not bad at all.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. Exactly. It's such a, like, that's something you're always going to have. You're always going to have with you. Okay, maybe the feeling behind, you wish it was successful and you wished it had been better, and you know, like, yeah, but then it's the whole not trying it, you know, that's always going to be at the back of your mind if you don't push yourself to do it, or if you don't go for it. So yeah, no, it's not a bad thing, because you learn so much. There's always something, I'm 8 years, still don't know it all, you're constantly learning, constantly developing, constantly creating. So, it's great. It is good. I would recommend it.
When on the podcast here, we talk about niching down their people's businesses a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And normally when we are helping someone niche down with Studio Great, they're already a business and they've already been set up and they're branched out really far. And then we say, well, look, you're kind of running a bit yourself dry here and you've hit levels. Now we need to start niching down to a certain audience so that mm-hmm. we become more valuable. But like you were saying, you start out really niche, especially in 2013. Mm-hmm. What made you do that, or why?
Yeah, I suppose I had stuff kind of going on personally that it fitted into that lifestyle of having kind of a more health conscious place, and so that was like, it should be more available to have, healthier options, healthier food, gluten-free, dairy-free, blah blah blah, whatever. You shouldn't have to explain to somebody why you want to eat this way. So we always just made options available for people, and people were like, wow, this is great, you've a lot, and it wasn't like we have this one thing on our menu for a vegetarian or a vegan or a person on a gluten-free diet. We had lots of options. So for me, I wanted to cut that kind of that you have to explain to your waiter, waitress why you're eating or what you need in your food, and feel kind of uncomfortable. So I wanted to take that out of it. And then, I suppose like we did all of this, and then it was, you'd meet lots of different people coming in. They're like, can I get a ham and cheese toast sandwich? And like, we didn't do that style of food. So ours was very specific. It was like toasted organic pitches and falafels and hummus, and, all of the I suppose, they were quite different at the time. You can get lots of this food in lots of different places now, but it was like at one point, I was like, oh my God, will I do a toasted ham and cheese sandwich, or will I do lasagna and chips? I had all of those times that that I was like, oh God, if there's a lot of people looking for it and I'm very niche, but anyways, I stuck with my guns, and I was like, right, okay, I'm just going to keep going with it. And then it's like kind of, it just bloomed. People just came out. They're like, wow, this is great. This is, it's healthy food. It's not full of, additives, preservatives, chemicals, whatever, like people were, I make so much of our own stuff, so I could rhyme off all the ingredients that are in it. There was no like, I'm not sure, or it's like, I put this flour in this, and I put this into this, and I put these chickpeas in this, and it's just so nice to then have a niche and be different then from other places, because every place, I suppose, has their little thing, and this was ours, so we went with it, and it did work out, and I'm glad we stuck with it. So we were very specific at that time, very niche,
Yeah, and what that does then is you're completely different to any of the other restaurants around, and then people know you like straight away off the top of their head.
Yeah, like we would have people half coming in the door going, oh, is this a vegan shop, or is this a vegetarian, as if it was a bad thing, and then we'd say, oh no, we have other options too, and they'd say, all right, okay. So it was getting out there, but it was still a bit unsure as to what we do exactly. And then as soon as somebody come in and they're like, oh, you do this and this and this, and it was, people were very pleasantly surprised then, and there was good flavor, and it wasn't just like salad leaves. There was a little bit more to it than just that.
Yeah, and if you think about 2013, like now it seems obvious that you would open somewhere like Bastion Kitchen, but back then it was like lasagna, chips, pub food. That's the place where you make loads of money, but also you're not different people. You're very it'd be hard to get a real loyal following of people, because you're kind of the same as everywhere. Then you can kind of go anywhere. Like I know myself, like certain dishes that you get in certain places, you can get it anywhere. It's the same. It doesn't really matter. But what you have is a really distinct style that I have never really seen anywhere. So they're like your own dishes, and when that was one big thing. When I first moved to Athlone, I used to go get breakfast in Bastion Kitchen all the time, because I'd be up really early, and there's like everywhere else I just get a fry, and I didn't want to get a fry. And then I remember he had porridge. I was like, that's so weird that they have porridge. And this is probably like 2014, maybe, say. Well, you can buy porridge in there. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, cool, wow. And then I go in and have porridge and a coffee, and it was like, it was that thing where you're still able to go out, because back at that time you weren't really able to go out and have a nice healthy meal. You'd be having like a big breakfast, a fry,
big fry up.
And it's like not good. And so that was really something. And then what happens then as well, anyone that would come to town, because everyone I know kind of eats the same as I do, and I'd be telling them, oh, go there, so you can get some real nice things and that, so it just really worked out. But like you said, sticking to it's very at the start, especially when you start out, like you don't see many people really going the way you did with at the very start, because that fear creeps in. Like, will I actually make any money? Like, is there only going to be 10 people that will want this, or will everyone hate it? And I remember before you were telling me that you don't do chips, and this is like back then, it must be such a mad thing. Like, even to say like, oh, I will do chips. Okay, let's do chips. But to say that you still don't, it's just great. But it really is grown.
No, we did. We're like, no, we don't do chips. Can I get a side of chips with that? No, we don't do chips. And even my brothers, they were down and they were helping me paint and and get set up, and they were like, what, there's not going to be a breakfast roll on it, seriously? And like, it's like, why isn't there? Or I always remember John saying to me, picking up the organic milk, there was no cows harmed in the making of this milk. It was always his joke for any of the organic stuff that I had, because for, I'm come from a farming background. So we have our own cattle and we have our own milk and we have our own veggies and stuff. And Mama's great with the garden, and we've loads of that side of things too, and a lot of it was homegrown and picked out the garden too, but not very specific to organic, so there was kind of that mix was new to me and my family, and like say that side of things. And I suppose the more I got into health food, and when it started with my kind of own kind of journey, I suppose personally, that then it became a thing for me, looking at what is used and how it's grown and where it comes from. So that's it's so that has carried on. I haven't just flipped over and said, I'll throw in a portion of chips with every meal that we do. So it's great that I'm glad looking back now that I didn't get kind of pulled towards the kind of more mainstream food that was available at that time. I'm glad I stuck to it. It was
because a lot of people as well, then they get swayed by non-business people, or people that are not thinking about the business as much as them, especially when you're going more specific with it or niche with it, and you can get kind of persuaded to not go as niche, because it seems like a bad idea. But if you had never done it, now Bastion Kitchen wouldn't be as sought after a place, because it'd be kind of just the same as everywhere else. But now people, like, it's sought after. They go there, like they'll travel that extra bit to go there. Do you know? So like it really pays off. But it does, when anyone starting out, it does seem like they're really the wrong thing to do, but most of the time the wrong things are actually the right things to do.
The right things. Yeah. And there's always the thing, like, if you're not behind it fully yourself or believe in it, like, it's going to be very hard to sell that to somebody else, so if I didn't believe in it, or if I was like, oh God, I'm throwing out this type of food that I don't really want to do, then that's creating a block there. So you need to just remove those blocks and go with what feels right. It might feel mad or you know, not the right thing to do, but it does, like if you're able to stand over it and say, you know, this is my product, be it the maddest thing in the world, or you know, it's still yours, and it's able to flow better, you know. Like there's been lots of people that we've had their products in our shop because we've had like a health food section, and it's like, God, I don't know if it's going to work, or you know, I don't know if people are going to take, you know, oh, I don't know, you know, like let me think. I'm trying to think of examples, but you know, they'd be in the same boat as me. There'd be a different product that I'd say, look at, throw me in a case of it, and I'm sure we'll see how it goes, you know, that kind of way. So they like that. The same feeling for me. It was just like, we don't know how it's going to go, but let's just go with it. And it takes that block away because they believe in it, I believe in it, and then it does sell, and you find then that other people will get behind you because of your passion, I suppose, for it, or just it's a really good product. Okay, who cares if it's a bit kind of off the wall to start off with, and then it becomes more common to people, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's I also remember like the first time I had kombucha, I was in Bastion Kitchen. I was like, what is this? And I was like, you know, it has the mutter at the
top of it. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and then I'm like, this is really nice. But like it's kind of that as well. Like it's just it's really interesting. Like when you really, like you're saying, if you believe in it and you like all the products, then there are other people that do like them as well. Like, even I know when I walk in there, I was like, ooh, look at that. That's good. You don't see that anywhere else, or, you know, all these, like even coconut water in a can and things like that. So
yeah,
that's amazing. But listen, I know you have to go now soon. And so I'm going to, one last question, right? For rolling with the punches, like you're saying, and constantly growing the business and developing the business, what do you think you're going, because it looks like everyone's business has changed forever now after the pandemic, and so there has been a lot of good things happen from it as well as bad. So what way do you think what do you see moving forward that you're going to keep maybe from the pandemic, or and change, and or are you going to think you'll go back to the way you were before?
Yeah, I don't know if we're fully going to go back to the way we were before, you know. Like things have changed, people's mindsets and people's kind of habits and behaviors have changed as well. Whereas before we used to be like, oh, bail in and grab a seat and pull up a chair, and, you know, it's that kind of vibe. Whereas, you know, people are going to be a little bit over the next couple of years, a little bit more, you know, conscious of that. So we might just keep going with our online. Like I know we did our boost boxes, sending them out nationwide to people. We might kind of get back into that again, kind of more the Christmassy time when people are thinking of presents and gifts and stuff. But like food production is something that I think might be what we will do as well. You know, some of our products, and with yourself and Connor helped me loads with getting a lovely design and getting the packaging and the kind of the branding right for Bastion. And that was brilliant, because now I've put that into my products and now they're out in the shops. So I suppose kind of getting maybe a little bit more into that, a production kitchen, and kind of maybe trying to get our products maybe in more places than before. But I suppose my sister actually ended up opening a Bastion, which was just this kind of, it's such an unusual thing to happen, but an amazing thing. So she was kind of in the same boat as me. Will I do it? Won't I do it? And then this lovely little space came up at home where Josie wanted to be, because Josie was traveling up and down to me all the time. So she ended up opening a Bastion as well. So it's like identical to Athlone, and with her own little stamp on it as well. So I don't know, like whether, like, there's been a lot of people that have like, God, that's a great idea, you know, I'd love that, or I'd love to do, and I'd love to be able to help people do that as well. So I suppose there's a mix of production and food, and keep pushing that, our style of food maybe forward and getting it out to more people. And then also, I don't know if that's just a thing that just happened with myself and Jose, but you know, I know there is interest there for people as well to have their own style in their own little village or wherever it is, and to be able to kind of help and support people do that. So I think that might be the future of Bastion.
Well, it's like, it's so exciting as well, because it does seem like, it's like the pandemic shook up whatever you were doing over there. And now that's one thing, right? So first thing is, you open a new shop opened. You see your products everywhere now, more and more. Yeah. And then the last day I was in the shop's all done up as well now. I was like, what's going on here? It's cool, because it feels like that mindset that you took on at the very start, where you're like, oh, let's just open the online shop, has kind of just, you've been like, oh, that works actually. Let's just keep rolling with the quick decisions. And
the doing up of the shop was like doing a bit here, doing a bit here, doing a bit here throughout the last 8 years. And I suppose maybe the pandemic has taught me to just say, it's your business, do what you need to do for your business, and be confident that you know how to do it, I suppose, at this stage. So like closing, and we opened across the road, but closing the cafe and doing up the cafe to the way that suits us now, was just the best decision. And now afterwards I was like, why didn't I do this ages ago? So just trusting in myself to do these things and not be afraid, because I'd be like, oh God, but now Calvin will be in now for his 9 o'clock coffee, and we won't be here, and Johnny will be in for his, and Mary will be in, and you kind of start thinking of all your customers that you're going to really put out because you're doing something for your business. So I kind of had to, I suppose now it's just like, okay, no, this is actually better if I do this and then reopen and then do it, and have it right and do all these things. So I suppose I think it has taught me to just, if I feel like it's right, do it, and don't be worried about other people, but do what's best for business, because then it will, your loyal customers will come back and, come in and see the new space and see the nice new style or whatever, so it has kind of taught me to go with it, just, go with the flow, make your decision and do it.
Yeah, it's excellent. Very, very inspirational stuff.
That's great.
Well, and where can people find you online and find this shop?
Yeah, so the bastionkitchen.com is our online shop. So you can go on and look at everything there. And then our shop is on 1 Bastion Street at Loan. Up on lovely Bastion Street, nice and colourful, and then we have our Instagram page and our Facebook page, just for changes and updates and specials and stuff like that, and you can send messages kind of through there as well, and that's where you'll find us. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Anne, thanks very much. Thanks
a million, Calvin. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thanks very much. And thanks everyone for listening. That was another Studio Great podcast.
Thank you for watching our Studio Great video. If you'd like to work with Studio Great, go to our website www.studiogreat.eu.